Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You'll be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year. Very proud of that. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things for folks living in San Diego County, whether it's food insecurity or it's financial literacy or the arts. They are there shoulder to shoulder. Everybody just so pleased to have in the studio today. Longtime friend and colleague is in the house from the Veterans Beer Club. Phil Kendro, he is the co-founder. Philly, how you doing, man?
Hey, good morning. Glad to see you again, Drew.
It's always good to see you. You brought your colleague with you, Sean Mulrooney. He's the chapter lead for the Veterans Beer Club. How you doing, Sean?
Fantastic. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll start with you, Phil. What's the mission of the Veterans Beer Club?
You know, back in 2016, well, actually, I'll go back to 2015, was transitioning out of the Marine Corps and didn't have a great time with it. Had a really great network, both civilians as well as some military friends that had gotten out, and it was a great network. But I found myself unemployed transitioning out of the Marine Corps. Well, I wasn't the only one. Kevin Cortez had a little bit of trouble, and so Kevin and Brian Grant and I all met together and said, hey, you know what? We need to solve this issue. We're blessed and cursed in San Diego County. We have got a lot going on, but a lot of people don't know where to go to get that proper transitioning and help. And so back in 2016, created the Veterans Beer Club, and it was 3 things. Number one was basically helping those transition service members, whether it's the first or 15th time, to get those resources, find those transition groups, get a person that knows how to do a LinkedIn profile, resume. So it was number one, finding those jobs for them. Number two was translating military service to community service. As a military active duty service member, we got so much energy. We got to do something else except for just sit around the house. So it's really getting out in the community, become those leaders, board members, volunteers, T-ball coach, whatever it might be. And then the third part was a sense of camaraderie. After a couple of Veterans Beer Club events, we actually had people coming from out of state to come to our events because they missed having that camaraderie in a group. And so that was our 3 pillars that we really founded VBC on.
Right. So now you have done this 2015 or whatever the case may be. How many Veterans Beer Clubs are there?
Approximately between 30 to 40 active clubs. We have more than that, but they've kind of gone. They've gone up. They've gone down. Right. Some of the people have left town. So it's between 30 and 40 right now.
Did it all start in 2015 here?
2016 is when we started here.
Right.
But then we had quick chapters that popped up really quickly in Denver, Colorado Springs, Orlando's a big one, and then our neighbors up the hill, Myria, Temecula, has been a great partner of ours.
Right. Sean, how long have you been involved with the Veterans Beer Club?
I've been involved for probably a little over 4 years when I came out of the Navy in January 21.
Thank you for your service, both of you guys.
Hey, you're worth it.
Thank you. I went to an event with University of Syracuse, or Syracuse University, and they said, hey, you've got to go out to VBC. I'm like, Veteran Beer Club, what's that? And they said, you just need to go see it. And we recommend it for anybody who's transitioning. So I went out, started going to a few events, and was just blown away. Just the atmosphere of it, everybody was so welcoming, and you come in and it was just, they bring you straight into the group and they start helping. And so I started going to regular events, and I was promoting the company that I was working for at the time. And then I lost that, and then I was able to get into another job almost immediately because I had that network now built up. And then the person who had been running the chapter said, hey, he was going to Purdue, to chase further education. He said, I can't do this anymore. Are there people that can help out? So there were about 6 of us that volunteered to step up, and within a few months there was one left. And that was me, and I've been running it for a little over 3 years now.
No, I think that's fantastic. How many members are there total in San Diego and then around the country?
Well, we don't keep track of membership per se,
gotcha.
So because there's no cost.
Correct.
You just show up. Now, if I could tell you that people that have given their emails to us because they want to be contacted about our events, almost 2,000 people are on my mail list here in San Diego.
Oh my goodness. And how many will show up at an event?
Depends. The farther I get from the center of the city, because we're on a Wednesday after working hours, people aren't willing to deal with traffic. So if I'm near Miramar, we can get 150.
Gotcha.
If I go to Ramona, I might get 650 to 75.
Right. Is it always Wednesdays?
Not always. We try to keep it predictable so people can plan out, and so that we don't overlap with other great events that are going on around the community. But and then our anniversary event. The anniversary event will attract over 300 people.
We're gonna get that in a few seconds here.
Yeah.
So when you get people engaged in this, they have to have served. Is that correct?
Actually, we actually have transitioning service members, active duty, but also military spouses. That's one thing that for at least pre-COVID, we started bringing in a lady named Tracy Steele, who's been absolutely awesome. And she really was like, hey, we got to get a strong military spouse program. Because honestly, where we're got a skill set and we've been in an area maybe here for a while, military spouses, they get that skill set. Next thing, they got to move every 2 to 3 years and get reestablished, where we just show up at a command and we've already got a job there. So they actually have some more challenges than we actually do as military service members.
Yeah, as Phil knows, Sean, we launched the show that I started 20 years ago with Larry Blumberg at SDMAC, supporting our San Diego military with SDMAC. Now we call it Mission San Diego Military, and David Boone and I co-host it, and just relaunched that. And of course, you can't help but not chat about the importance of the military spouse. I'm preaching to the congregation, obviously, with you two guys on it. But I think for the lay folks, don't realize how critical it is that the military spouse comes with a ton of information and skill sets anyway, okay? And making sure that we find gainful employment for them, okay? If they are taking care of the family, whatever the case may be, is huge. Talk about that, Phil, and you can add to it, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with the military spouses, too, one of the things that we have all these different transition courses that we've partnered with on Onward Opportunity, which is an Institute of Veterans Military Families organization from Syracuse. 4 Block, we have some leadership from VBC, of course, leads that. We've got the Operation Connect with the North San Diego Business Chamber. You've got the Honor Foundation, which is the platinum because they basically bring in the special operators. But one thing is with those transition organizations is we also tell the active duty service member or the transitioning service member, you got to bring your spouse there because they're going to learn a lot about what's going on during the transition, especially when it comes to finances. A good friend, Alan Nelson, leads his own financial program. And I admit that was one of the mistakes I made coming out of the Marine Corps was I was not financially sound. Luckily, I was post-Marine Corps because my wife helped me out with that.
Right.
But that's one thing is bringing the spouse. So bringing the spouse out to VBC so she sees how and reason why it's so important to be networking as well as those transition groups.
No, that's great. We're chatting with our friends from the Veterans Beer Club, Phil Kendro, co-founder, joined by his colleague Sean Mulrooney. He's the chapter lead. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast. In our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things in the community. So the organization grows, of course, and you don't have a charge for membership. People can come and go as they please and all that, but obviously with 2,000 emails is a pretty robust group over here. Have you ever just had an event that all of a sudden, my goodness, they're all showing up? There's 500 of them. What the heck are we going to do? Talk about that, Sean.
I would say the anniversary events will surprise us sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we have so many people on the email list that we reach out to it, but life happens and they can't get to the events or it just doesn't work out for them.
Right.
But people will come from out of town for our anniversary events. And this 10th annual, I expect nothing less.
Now, do they have to register for the 10th annual?
I would like everybody to RSVP so we have an idea. Yes.
That'd be good. And where's that going to be?
The event is going to be held at Viasat's campus up in Carlsbad, and they can RSVP at www.vbcsandiego.org.
And what time does it start?
5:30.
And it goes till?
To
the last beer's drink?
No. Hopefully we'll be prepared for that.
That'd be 8 in the morning?
That's right.
Right.
Don't test the sailors.
Exactly. No kidding. Well, the Marines do.
Yes.
And us former journalists, we know that's a requisite of being a journalist. Can you drink? In that aspect of it. So they get there at 5:30. What can they expect?
They can expect. For this, we have a bunch of people coming to set up booths to talk about different resources that are available to the community. That's not normally how we run the chapter events, and this is more of a national event. So I want to let Phil take this one.
Yeah,
there's gonna be some live music that's gonna be there. Would be really nice. You're gonna check in. Basically, there's gonna be free parking. You check in, you get there, and then basically you donations for whatever beverages that you want to have there. And then Protector Brewery is supporting us. They actually have a can label that we actually made that's got VBC and Protector Brewery, and we've partnered with them for 3 years. And I have to give a shout out to Second Chance Beer Company, where this whole thing started, because really that's the crux of where everything started with Marty and Virginia, who are still good friends. But then basically got live music, hopefully elected officials, business representatives, as well as military leaders will be there in attendance. We'll do a little spiel about, hey, thank you everybody for coming here. We're going to give thanks out to Viasat, Snell, Wilmer, as well as being some major sponsors for us. And then we'll have a raffle, give away some really cool prizes. And then back to networking. I mean, really, that's what the whole thing is. It's all about meeting and greeting. You come there, you get a badge that says, hey, either I need a job or, hey, I have a job to offer. And so that's really what it's about, honestly. So it's a real small part, but it's just a celebration. But again, it's also saying, hey, what can we do to still keep hiring for some of our veterans and military spouses?
Now, the beer club get-togethers are once a month, or?
Typically, but now we've also started doing a VBCE event for entrepreneurs, and we're bringing our veteran-owned business owners out to discuss their lessons learned and their successes and failures with the community that wants to pursue entrepreneurship. So I've broken that out as a separate event, and we're running those about every other month. So some of the months you'll see we'll have multiple events.
Yeah, multiple events on that. Yeah. So what would you say? Phil, here you are, co-founder. 2016, thinking about once you transitioned out in 15, has amazed you the most about, besides the explosive growth of Veterans Beer Club? What else is around? Just, well, man, this is unbelievable.
It is a grassroots movement. It's about the fact of everybody really coming to help each other. So one of the things is too, is we say we're kind of a virus. Once you get in a company, we want to populate more of our veterans in with that organization. And so the fact is that these people will come there looking for a job, looking for an opportunity, and it's opportunity as well, like volunteer opportunities, because I think a lot of people don't understand how much you can get away from volunteer and who you might meet while you're volunteering, doing different things. But once they actually get into a company and now they're coming back to VBC and saying, hey, guess what, guys and gals, I've got a job here at this company. This is this position. Come talk to me and let's get you in my company as well.
I'm so glad you brought that up. When people come and ask, how do I get engaged? They're new in the community, and as you know, Phil, I've been around for about 4 billion years and stuff, so I know some folks in all that business. And the first thing I tell them is, listen, join a nonprofit. Find a nonprofit of something you're interested in, whether it's literacy or it's sports for youth or whatever the case may be, because you're interested in it. Take a look at their board. The board usually has some pretty high-level folks on it, depending where it is. And now that you're at this event, and now you're helping out at their registration, or you're helping out set up the events and all this, now you're automatically in that community. So I'm so thrilled to see this is just sort of the bread and butter, but you folks do as well.
I say now the VBC is kind of a Venn diagram in San Diego, as well as many other cities, that we touch pretty much every military organization or group that's out there affiliated with military spouses. San Diego Military Advisory Council has been a big partnership of ours, which has just been amazing with David and Nancy. Really do appreciate them as well. But it really is we've got people like Chris Thorne, Navy veteran, who is the North San Diego Business Chamber CEO and president. Myself, president and CEO of Mount Soledad. I, of course, got awesome Sean at Mount Soledad Trustees. So we really are like a Venn diagram now in San Diego kind of leadership, which is pretty awesome.
Well, it is. And you brought up something that we talk quite a bit about, whether it's on my Spotlight show and we're chatting about the military, or, of course, Mission San Diego Military that I co-host with David Boone, CEO of SDMAC. And I learned this from Larry Blumberg a zillion years ago, is that the military, you folks serve twice. Obviously, you serve us to protect ourselves on our soil and abroad, but you're in those communities you're talking about, whether it's little leagues, whether it's boards, whether it's whatever the case may be. It's just in your nature in this aspect of it. And, you don't let any moss grow underneath your feet on that. And I think that is absolutely so critical. One of the things that we try to tell a lot of folks, especially younger folks that are transitioning right from college to the world of work, is get involved in a nonprofit, okay? Because they want you, they need your help, they need your brains and all that business, and they will open doors for you, and that is so critical. Sean, address how important that is once you make that connection.
That has been essential for me, and not so much for what the connections it provided me, but more so for the satisfaction that it gave me internally, that sense of purpose that you lose when you leave the military. Most of us join the military because we want to be part of something larger than ourselves, and you feel like you're all working towards a common goal. And then you get out and you get put in the civilian sector, and depending on the next source of employment you have, you may not find that culture isn't there. And so you have a big hole in your heart that you need to fill. And I found that through VBC and through Mount Soledad and the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick. I'm always trying to be involved. Much to my wife's chagrin, I'm gone all the time because it's so helpful to me and therapeutic, honestly.
Well, I mean, and therapeutic to the people that you're in touch with, and you know, Phil, and both you folks went through this when you make this transition. And when we talk to people about this, well, God, why is it so tough for the military to make a transition in life? These are leaders in our, the world that they're in. They're disciplined. They're obviously very good at what they do. Shouldn't that just be they're going to get hired the next day they walk out? Doesn't quite happen that way, does it, Phil?
No, unfortunately, again, like I said, I was employed for a few months, but then through networking, so good friend Sean Park, the Seans, we always call him, Sean Squared.
Sean Squared. Yeah.
But, I'd met him in 2014 at a networking group called Life Lounge, which is a bunch of entrepreneurs kind of getting together, kind of high-end group. So Sean I met, and then about a year later, he's like, hey, I got a job at this company. Do you want to come join me? And so he got me my first job. So again, through networking, and then is really where I got the opportunity, not necessarily from LinkedIn, not from a job search. So is networking, and Sean Park actually has become a big part of our family in VBC and been one of our leaders and a really good friend now too. So it's those, and unfortunately that's one thing to explain to the spouses, again, bringing the spouses into the transition, that they understand why is networking important, why is this financial assistance stuff important, why is the job hunt like LinkedIn, why all these different things important, is really bringing the spouse in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. When we come back, we're going to chat more with Sean Mulrooney. He is the chapter lead for the Veterans Beer Club here in San Diego, joined by Phil Kendro, co-founder of the organization. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. So great to have in the studio with us today our friends from the Veterans Beer Club, a longtime friend and colleague. Now a new one I have with us over here, Sean Mulrooney is the chapter lead, and Phil Kendro, co-founder. Phil, you brought this up earlier, maybe you can address even more. So you folks sort of launched this thing in 2016, and next thing you know, there's beer clubs around the country. How did they find out about this?
So social media. So I would say LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram actually has been a really good thing for us because it's also free. And so you can really get a lot of advertising out there. And so I can't tell you how many times on LinkedIn I'll get a message saying, hey, this looks awesome. I really would like to get a chapter in our place. How do we start a chapter? So we say it's got to be a group of 3. because you need to have at least 3 veterans that are there, that basically you have a person that could be in charge in case somebody's not there because they're away on some trip or they have something else going on with their family. And that's what's been really nice about VBC San Diego, is that Sean Mulrooney, myself, Sean Park, that we can step away one day and know that somebody's going to take charge of that event that day, because it's very simple. But it was basically through social media advertising, and Instagram has been really good for us, and a lot of people reach out through that now.
So how many folks have been there from the inception, like you, Philly?
So we have a group picture of the beginning with, of course, Kevin Cortez, Brian Grotto, the founders, Eddie Hansen, Tim Matthews. Those gentlemen, we get to see them as much as we can, still leaders in the community. And so from the beginning, there's definitely like a couple dozen that have been there consistently. I think Sean Park says that he thinks he has the record for attendance of the VBC. So, and he likes to talk about that too.
100%.
Yeah. Now, will you get folks from these other VBCs around the country at the big event?
Well, at the big event, we might see some that will come out. Definitely our neighbors up in Temecula will be here.
Right.
But others, I would not be surprised if a few of them made it out here.
Right.
And the other thing I want to say is you get, because San Diego, at least for the Marine Corps and the Navy, is a massive duty station.
Coast Guard too.
A lot of these other chapters were because they did time here and towards the end of their career, and they came to an event and then they took a job back home and they're like, oh my goodness, I need to take this with me. And I just had 2 of those yesterday. Somebody had showed up at our VBCE event and they were visiting town and somebody had brought them. And like, I need to do this. What do I need to do? And they reached out to me on LinkedIn. They said, okay, I'm in Houston. I'm in Dallas. What do I need to do to get this set up? This is amazing. And so we've also had people that have been with the organization for years, and then life takes them to another place. And they're like, I'm taking this with me. It's like, we support you.
So do we work with any international groups? Do our friends across the border at all?
So I know that we have actually some Brits that are coming to our VBC that are coming here. We actually did have a reach out, I think, in Europe and Japan at some of the bases over there to get them started for their transition, because it's even more difficult, your transition when you're overseas and knowing that you're basically, that's going to be your final duty station before now you come back to the United States and got to figure out how to get a job.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about how you work with other groups in San Diego County that may be somewhat in the same place, whether it's 0800 or it's Reboot or fill in the blank, obviously, the wonderful nonprofits that tie into the military.
We talk to those nonprofits on a regular basis. We all interact at each other's events, and we're always looking for collaboration opportunities. So if they have a big event coming up, we will post their information on our social media sites, and we will mention it. At every event, we have a break in the middle of the event where we get up and whoever's running the event that day, which for the last 3 years has been me primarily, I'll get up and talk about current events and say, okay, hey, this is coming up. This other organization that we support, they've got an event going here. These people have a golf tournament. Please support everybody. So that's one way. We also have these partners that will come in and collaborate at one of our events. So they'll come in and I'll give them extra time, and they bring their network and we bring our network together, like SDMAC. SDMAC is one of our biggest collaborations of the year. We have been very lucky to work with the Coast Guard the last few years and be down at the Viper House at the tip of Point Loma, which has been just fantastic. It's our best photo opportunity of the year. And so those kind of opportunities have been key. And then we'll get industry partners that, like General Atomics. We've put a lot of bodies into General Atomics, and General Atomics has been great about supporting us and other organizations around town. And so we always try to see what we can do to work together to help each other out.
One of the things that's really interesting, I'll tell you, is every time one of these folks Onward Opportunity or 4 Block, whoever it might be, they say that basically they're always sending people to the VBC because they know it's the best networking event in San Diego County and around the nation. And so that's always very nice. I did a Wounded Warrior panel discussion a couple weeks ago. Greg Martin invited myself and Chris Keene, who's MEA West, another transition group that's up there that we're always supporting too, and a couple other folks. And it was funny, around the table that they kept, the executives that were there for Wounded Warrior Project kept talking about, and about VBC, and it's nice to hear from other voices, not saying like I don't want to pat myself on the back, but it's really cool to hear other people about how excited they are about that coming from other different organizations.
Right. So you do this, is the schedule set out, Sean, for the whole rest of the year, that we're going to be here in May and here in June and then July, or it's like, we haven't figured out July yet. We're going to, or it's all set up?
It is not all set up. Okay. So I try to go out as far as I can.
Yeah.
But we're an all-volunteer team.
Right.
So I do the best I can. We've got a fantastic website. I had some volunteers put together the website for us last year. Forth & Sons, those guys did a fantastic job. And that has allowed me to be a little bit more organized and getting these things farther planned out. So earlier in the year, I was almost 6 months planned out. Unfortunately, here I am almost 4 months in. I haven't been able to maintain that 6 month outlook. But we have an event in May. I have a couple TBDs in June and July right now. But what I'm trying to do is maintain that third Wednesday of the month. So at least my people have some predictability. And what the location is TBD, but they know, hey, I can put this on my calendar. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Right. So what are, Phil, some of the challenges? They're obviously getting more people to know what's going on. I imagine traffic can be an issue getting to the place, and San Diego is not the easiest to do. And when you're
it's not
driving around, depending on if you're on 805, start a couple of days early and you got to be able to make your destination. What else?
Well, no, I mean, it is. I mean, San Diego County is a huge county, so it is trying to get support. And that's one thing is it's a challenge for us because we want to make sure to support as many veterans and military spouses as possible. So we do have to hold that event up in Oceanside and that event in Chula Vista and that event in Santee, which is a little more challenging for some of the people not living there. But we need to support those veterans and military spouses who live in those areas, so we make it easier for them. And, also we're a national nonprofit as well, so we actually do have some backing to need donations, and that's one thing too, is as a nonprofit to help out start up the other chapters, because a lot of us, all the swag and everything's been out of pocket, so it'd be nice to help other chapters with actually having a donation. And we actually have a national website, veteransbeerclub.org, that's been set up that actually showcases a lot of the other chapters too.
Right, so what can our listeners do? Obviously, come to the events, support what you're doing. As you mentioned, don't necessarily have to have served in the military to do this. It doesn't hurt if you have some connection to it. Money doesn't grow on trees. That is always good. But if you're running a business and you want to host one of the beer club get-togethers, that's it. What else can they do?
Go ahead, Tony.
That's the biggest thing. If hosting us and then coming out and taking the effort to understand what the military veteran has to offer industry. So if they're industry partners and they're looking to hire people, come out and see what we've got. We've got some amazingly talented people that by nature of their job and their track record with the military have the leadership skills that are very hard to train when you show up at a company. They can train you how to do a specific skill, but they don't have the time to train you to be a leader. We're bringing that to the table. So we have a lot to offer. So if they come out and they see what's going on and then help spread the word for us. But from a financial perspective, sponsorship would be fantastic. Right now, for the last 3 years, most of the costs of this chapter have come out of my pocket. I try to recoup some of those, but National has helped out a little bit. And now that we've become a 501c3, which is just recently, that's just been in the last year. But otherwise, that's the chapter lead's responsibility. If you want to have hats and things and pens and stuff to sell, I got to buy all that stuff ahead of time, and maybe I get recouped, maybe I don't. But because it's so important and it feels so good, it hasn't been an issue.
Have you ever thought about, even if it's a nominal fee, even $10 a year or something like that, just something, or you want to stay away from any type of charge to members?
Really want to stay away from that. I mean, that's part of our charter, is really making sure that it's free. And we keep talking about Veterans Beer Club. One thing is we're not a drinking club, and I want to make sure that people understand. And sometimes it's funny at Mount Soledad when they say the co-founder of Veterans Beer Club, there's a big laugh in the crowd. But then there's also 30 or 40 people in the crowd that are VBCers, which is kind of funny. But drinking is not. So it's a kind of a very tongue-in-cheek name. So I just want people to remember that too.
Right. Well, but you can drink beer there.
Oh, you definitely do, though.
Yeah. So, Sean, what's the website?
www.vbcsandiego.org.
Right, exactly. And I think, for our listeners out there, so, and last question, Phil, and you can add to it, Sean. Do you folks then bring in people that, hey, listen, a lot of the jobs are shifting toward AI or biocom or entrepreneurships and all that business. Do you bring those folks to the beer club so people can talk about, hey, listen, folks, if you have a skill set in here, these folks, this part of the job sector is growing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Biocom, we've partnered some of our VBC events with Biocom and then made sure that our VBCers are going to their events as well. AI, we've actually talked about that recently too, because we know how much that's going to change. And actually another partnership we have is with the universities. All universities, we've done something with them. So it's been amazing. VBC touches every industry in San Diego County and around the nation. And so it's just important to get those leaders, especially at the 21 May event, is to get those hiring folks. Not a person that's just a recruiter, but that literally the person can show up and be like, I need to do an interview with you. We've had interviews at VBCs for jobs. I mean, it's insane about how successful some of it's been.
Yeah, and I also want to quick shout out to our sports ambassador program. We have had a very efficient sports ambassador program where members of our group will interact with the different sports teams in San Diego and help them communicate with the military. The military community here in San Diego is so enormous that no sports team can afford to ignore it, but they don't always know how to engage it. So they come to us and we kind of work as that intermediary. There's no cost to that. We're just saying, hey, leverage our network. We want to help you. We want to help put some people in the seats and help the veteran community, and they're all about it. And we've had great relationships, especially with the Padres. We have an event coming up this weekend for the military sport. What is it?
Military appreciation game. Yeah, so one of our VBCers is in charge of that at the Padres, for the San Diego Padres, Captain Johnny Nilsson. And that's just been fantastic, those opportunities. We've worked with most of the teams in San Diego.
You work with Sports San Diego at all?
I'm actually on Sports San Diego Mariah Coat. So yeah, color guards, those flyovers, all that type of stuff is something that we're still here, where the people that maybe in the Marine Corps, Navy, or Coast Guard, of course, they're going to transition. They maybe go somewhere else where they know, hey, consistently, I know, hey, Phil Kendro, go fill out that form, send it to the FSDO, the FAA, so we can get a flyover.
I think our boy Roger Doherty's an incoming president, is he not?
He is. He's awesome.
Exactly. He is great. Nancy just relinquished probably reluctantly relinquished that role to him. Phil, it's always great seeing you. The content you provide is terrific. Sean, shout out the anniversary event. What day and where is it again?
It's Thursday, May 21st at Viasat's campus in Carlsbad.
Absolutely. So sign up. You heard about the website. Take as many people as possible. Don't forget to bring some of your cash with you to donate and all that business as well. Sean, a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
And hopefully this won't be the last time we'll see you. And hopefully I'll be at one of these events as well.
We welcome you there.
We look forward to it.
Absolutely. I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 60 years of doing great things for folks in San Diego County. And to our listeners, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.